Shadows on the Rails, Outlaws and Allies, written by Reuben White. Chapter 1, Shadows of the Past. The sun hung low on the horizon, casting long shadows across the dusty plains of the Wild West. Amidst the vast expanse of the frontier, a lone figure rode silently on horseback, his eyes fixed on the distant horizon. Jake Dawson was a man haunted by his past, a former cowboy whose life had been marred by tragedy and loss. As he rode, the memories of those he had loved and lost haunted him, driving him ever onward in search of redemption. The echoes of the Civil War still lingered in the air, a bitter reminder of the conflict that had torn the nation apart. In the wake of the war, the West had become a land of lawlessness and chaos, where outlaws and desperados roamed freely, preying on the innocent and the helpless. It was a time of uncertainty and fear, a time when a man's survival depended on his wits and his skill with a gun. As Jake rode on, his thoughts were interrupted by the distant sound of gunfire. Drawing his pistol, he spurred his horse onward, his senses alert for danger. Cresting a rise, he caught sight of a billowing cloud of smoke rising in the distance, the telltale sign of a train under attack. Heart pounding, Jake urged his horse into a gallop, racing towards the scene of the robbery. As he drew closer, he could see a group of masked men swarming over the train, their guns blazing as they plundered its cargo. Among them was a figure clad in black, his face obscured by a bandana, orchestrating the chaos with cold precision. With a sense of dread, Jake recognized the man as Black Jack Morgan, a notorious outlaw whose name struck fear into the hearts of all who crossed his path. Knowing he was outnumbered and outgunned, Jake hesitated for a moment, torn between the urge to flee and the desire to confront the demon from his past. But as the gunfire continued to ring out and the screams of the passengers filled the air, Jake knew that he could not stand idly by. With a grim determination, he spurred his horse forward, his pistol blazing as he rode headlong into the fray. And so began Jake Dawson's journey into the heart of darkness, a journey that would test his courage, his resolve, and his very soul. But amid the shadows of the Wild West, one thing remained clear: redemption lay not in the past, but in the actions of the present. And for Jake Dawson, the time had come to face his demons and to fight for the justice that had long eluded him. Chapter 2, The Encounter. The smoke from the train robbery still hung heavy in the air as Jake reined in his horse, his eyes scanning the chaos for any sign of survivors. Amidst the wreckage, he spotted a lone figure moving with purpose, a revolver clutched tightly in her hand. Drawing closer, Jake saw that it was a woman, her face set in a determined expression as she surveyed the scene before her. She wore the badge of a lawman pinned to her coat, marking her as a railroad detective. This must be Sarah O'Malley, he realized, the woman he had heard about in whispers around the campfires of the West. "Sheriff O'Malley, I presume?" Jake called out, his voice rough with the dust of the trail. The woman turned towards him, her eyes narrowing as she took in his dusty attire and weathered appearance. "And who might you be?" she asked, her voice as sharp as the crack of a whip. "Name's Jake Dawson," he replied, tipping his hat in greeting. "I witnessed the robbery from a distance. Figured I'd see if I could lend a hand." Sarah studied him for a moment, her gaze searching his face for any sign of deception. Finally, she nodded curtly. "Well, Mr. Dawson, it seems we have a common enemy in Black Jack Morgan. Care to join forces and track him down?" Jake hesitated, his thoughts racing as he weighed the risks against the potential rewards. But deep down, he knew that he could not turn away from the opportunity to confront the men who had haunted his nightmares for so long. "All right, Sheriff," he said, his voice steady. "I'm in." And so, with a reluctant alliance forged between them, Jake and Sarah set out on the trail of Black Jack Morgan, their fates intertwined by the bonds of duty and the ghosts of the past. As they rode together into the gathering darkness, they knew that the road ahead would be fraught with danger and uncertainty. But with each passing mile, they drew closer to their quarry, determined to bring him to justice no matter the cost. Chapter 3, Pursuit begins. The morning sun rose over the rugged landscape, casting a golden hue over the vast expanse of the frontier as Jake and Sarah set out on their journey. With their horses saddled and their weapons at the ready, they rode side by side, their eyes scanning the horizon for any sign of their elusive quarry. As they traveled, Jake and Sarah pieced together fragments of information gleaned from eyewitness accounts and whispered rumors. They learned that Black Jack Morgan had been spotted in several towns along the railroad, always staying one step ahead of the law with his cunning and ruthlessness. But despite their best efforts, Black Jack remained a shadowy figure, slipping through their fingers like smoke on the wind. Along the way, they encountered various obstacles and dangers, from treacherous terrain to hostile bandits intent on thwarting their pursuit. One night, as they made camp beneath the stars, they were ambushed by a gang of Black Jack's men, their gunfire ringing out in the darkness like thunder. Caught off guard, Jake and Sarah fought back with all their strength, their bullets finding their mark even as the shadows closed in around them. In the aftermath of the ambush, they emerged victorious but wounded, their resolve unshaken by the brush with death. For they knew that every step brought them closer to their quarry, every obstacle a test of their courage and determination. But their journey was far from over, and as they rode on into the unknown, they knew that the road ahead would be fraught with peril and uncertainty. Yet with each passing mile, their bond grew stronger, forged in the crucible of adversity and fueled by the shared desire for justice. And so, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the stars lit up the night sky, Jake and Sarah pressed on into the heart of darkness, their quest for vengeance leading them ever onward across the untamed frontier. For they knew that no matter the cost, they would not rest until Black Jack Morgan was brought to justice and the shadow of his tyranny lifted from the land. Chapter 4, Uncovering Secrets. With each passing day, Jake and Sarah delved deeper into the criminal underworld, following a trail of clues that led them into the heart of darkness. They learned of secret meetings held in the backrooms of saloons, of shady deals struck beneath the cover of night, and of powerful figures who pulled the strings from behind the scenes. But amidst the chaos and corruption, one name kept cropping up time and time again: Ezra Stone, a charming gambler with a reputation for playing both sides of the law. Rumor had it that Ezra held sway over the gambling dens and opium parlors that dotted the frontier, his influence extending far beyond the reaches of the law. Determined to uncover the truth, Jake and Sarah sought out Ezra in a bustling frontier town, their eyes keen for any sign of deception. They found him seated at a card table in the back of a smoky saloon, his eyes glittering with amusement as he surveyed the scene before him. "Ah, Sheriff O'Malley, Mr. Dawson," he greeted them with a smirk. "What brings you to my humble establishment?" "We're here for answers, Stone," Sarah replied, her voice sharp as a whip. "We know you've been running with Black Jack Morgan. What do you know about his plans?" Ezra's smirk widened into a grin, his eyes dancing with mischief. "Ah, Black Jack, you say? Now there's a man after my own heart. But as for his plans, well, let's just say he's not one to share his secrets with just anyone." "But surely you must know something," Jake pressed, his voice low and dangerous. "You've been seen in his company more than once." Ezra's grin faltered for a moment, his eyes flickering with uncertainty. But then, with a shrug of his shoulders, he leaned back in his chair and chuckled. "Very well, Sheriff, Mr. Dawson. I'll tell you what I know. But it'll cost you." And so, as the night wore on and the stakes grew higher, Jake and Sarah listened intently as Ezra spun a tale of betrayal and intrigue, of secret alliances and hidden agendas. And as they listened, they realized that the key to unraveling the mystery of Black Jack's motives lay not in the shadows of the criminal underworld, but in the heart of the frontier itself. Chapter 5, Showdown. The trail led Jake and Sarah to a remote canyon hidden deep within the rugged landscape of the frontier. It was here, amidst the towering cliffs and twisting ravines, that Black Jack Morgan had made his lair, a fortress of stone and steel guarded by his loyal band of outlaws. As they approached the canyon, Jake and Sarah could feel the tension in the air, a palpable sense of danger that hung like a shadow over the land. With their guns drawn and their hearts pounding in their chests, they prepared to face their greatest challenge yet. With a silent nod, they spurred their horses forward, riding headlong into the mouth of the canyon. As they rode, the sound of gunfire echoed off the rocky walls, the sharp crack of bullets mingling with the desperate cries of the wounded. In the heart of the canyon, they found Black Jack and his gang waiting for them, their guns blazing as they unleashed a hail of bullets upon their unsuspecting foes. But Jake and Sarah were not so easily deterred, their resolve unshaken by the storm of lead that rained down upon them. With bullets whizzing past their heads and the taste of blood on their lips, Jake and Sarah fought back with all their strength, their guns blazing as they cut through the ranks of Black Jack's men like a scythe through wheat. And as they fought, they knew that they were fighting not just for themselves, but for all those who had fallen victim to Black Jack's tyranny. But amidst the chaos and carnage, a figure emerged from the shadows, a figure clad in black with a face obscured by a bandana. It was Black Jack himself, his eyes burning with a fierce intensity as he faced off against his adversaries. With a cry of defiance, Jake charged forward, his pistol blazing as he confronted the demon from his past. And as their bullets collided in a symphony of violence, Jake knew that the time had come to confront his demons and fight for the justice that had long eluded him. And so, as the dust settled and the smoke cleared, Jake and Sarah stood victorious amidst the ruins of the canyon, their enemies vanquished and their mission accomplished. But as they looked out over the desolate landscape, they knew that the battle was far from over, for the shadows of the past still lingered on the horizon, waiting to be confronted and defeated. Chapter 6, Redemption. The dust settled over the canyon as Jake and Sarah stood amidst the wreckage of their final showdown with Black Jack and his gang. Bodies lay scattered across the rocky ground, their lifeless forms a grim testament to the violence that had engulfed the frontier. With Black Jack defeated and his gang scattered to the winds, Jake and Sarah knew that the time had come to confront their own inner demons and to find redemption in the aftermath of the battle. For Jake, the journey had been one of self-discovery and redemption, a chance to confront the ghosts of his past and to embrace his role as a hero. As he looked out over the desolate landscape, he knew that he had finally found the peace he had been searching for, a peace born of courage and determination. But for Sarah, the road ahead was still shrouded in uncertainty, her heart heavy with the weight of the battles she had fought and the sacrifices she had made. As she gazed out over the horizon, she knew that the scars of the past would never truly heal, but she also knew that she had found closure in the pursuit of justice. And so, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the stars lit up the night sky, Jake and Sarah rode out into the darkness together, their hearts full of hope for a brighter future. For though the shadows of the past still lingered on the horizon, they knew that they had the courage and the strength to face whatever challenges lay ahead, united in their quest to bring peace to the Wild West once and for all. Chapter 7, Conclusion. As the dust settled and the echoes of the showdown faded into the distance, Jake and Sarah stood together amidst the wreckage of the canyon, their eyes meeting in silent understanding. With Black Jack defeated and the railroad safe from further attacks, their mission was finally complete. But as the dawn broke over the horizon, casting a golden glow over the rugged landscape, Jake and Sarah knew that it was time to part ways and embark on their separate journeys towards a brighter future. With a silent nod of farewell, Jake mounted his horse and rode off into the sunrise, his heart filled with a sense of peace and fulfillment. For though the road ahead would be long and uncertain, he knew that he had found redemption in the face of adversity and that he would carry the lessons he had learned with him wherever he went. As Sarah watched him disappear into the distance, she felt a sense of gratitude wash over her, grateful for the companionship and camaraderie they had shared in the heat of battle. For though their paths may diverge, she knew that their bond would always remain unbroken, forged in the crucible of adversity and strengthened by the bonds of friendship. And so, as she turned her horse towards the horizon and rode off into the unknown, Sarah felt a sense of hope stir within her heart. For though the Wild West may be a land of shadows and danger, amidst the chaos, there was always hope for a better tomorrow. As she rode, the sun rose high in the sky, casting its warm embrace over the land and lighting the way forward into a future filled with endless possibilities. For in the heart of the Wild West, where the shadows of the past mingled with the promise of the future, anything was possible. And for Jake and Sarah, the journey had only just begun. I'm so glad you are enjoying my videos. I hope you'll continue to subscribe and share them with your friends.